Hey everybody, welcome back to ogresspeedshop. So in this video we're going to get into getting the rear drum brakes put together and some suspension parts put on. So we got ball joints, got all the brake parts, I think all the brake parts now. And so we're gonna get the suspension put back together and the rear drums put back together. Last week's video we did some floor pans in here, but I ran out of wire. And so once I get some more wire, we'll continue on that. Don't know how much more I'll film, but I'll definitely show you the progress when we get into it. But let's go ahead and get into doing these brakes. So one thing's for sure, with the frame stuff back here, it's gonna be too hard to work on it. So we're gonna move some stuff around and get to where it's in a more workable area. All right, so we got it all moved over. Got the end of the back up here on jack stands nice and high, so it's a good level to work on it and get good video for the brake installation. I did notice something on the seal surface right here, because it's pretty it's got a pretty good groove on it. So I'm gonna see if I can find a speedy sleeve for that, so when I put the hubs back on it, it doesn't leak anymore. This is the one that was pretty well lubricated by the differential on the drums, so the brake shoes. So I think we need to get a speedy sleeve to seal that, and we'll probably just go ahead and get 2 of them. And because I think this side kind of has a groove too. Not as bad, but there's definitely a groove there. So, okay, so what we've done so far on this is we got the new wheel cylinders on, and that's the only thing I've done as far as brake goes. So over here we have a whole new spring kit, all the parts, the adjusters, the bars, the levers, some 1/4 inch brake line, because it had 1/4 inch brake line in the back. I ordered a new hose, so that'll be here probably by the end of the week. Today's Saturday, and by the end of the week, meaning next Friday, or a week from yesterday, or Friday coming up, whatever you want to say. But shoes, drums, and yeah, that's it. And this is sway bar bushings, which is also going to be going on. Oh, on that note, so I ordered these ball joints that I thought were the right ones. This is the one that was original. This is the second set I ordered. And you can visually see the difference. The taper is less or more on this new one. See the difference in how big it is up here? So there's a difference in measurement too. I measured it, it's definitely narrower up here. So the diameter is smaller than what it is here. So it is wiggling around in the spindle, just like the first set I ordered. So I got another set on order. I cross-referenced and did a bunch of things off the numbers that were on this one. And because it has a number right there, it's got a number back here that's a different number. So did that, and I found another one that is specific for the vehicles. So from like 1960 to 1970. And hopefully that's the right one. I ordered a cheaper one this time because I'm tired of spending 40 bucks a piece on these things. I think these are only like 20, but the Moog replacement is 42. And I'm not spending 80 bucks to buy 2 more ball joints that hopefully will fit. So got those on the way as well. And so yeah, hopefully those are the ones that work. They look a lot more like this in the picture, but you know, you can't really tell by pictures, and they don't put measurements on the website. So hopefully those will be the right ones. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a quick layout of how the brakes line up. So this is your adjustment lever, your adjustment screw, the spring that holds this bottom end together, then springs that hold the top end together, the adjustment bar, the spread bar, which is right here. There's another name for it, but I can't remember what it is. Underneath there you got your parking brake lever, then the springs that hold the shoes in. This is a little part that goes up here over top of this little thing, so that'll hold those brake pads or the brake shoes in. And you got these little things that go on into your wheel cylinders. So that's really all there is to it. There isn't a whole lot to these, and they're pretty simple in my opinion. And I'll show you the way I put them together. It makes it easy for me. And so yeah, go ahead and set you up so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and install these little push rods into the wheel cylinders here. I'm gonna add a little grease to it just to help them stick in there. So those will stay in place as long as you have the rubber there. All right, so the next thing I want to do is install the parking brake lever. You see this little slot right here that goes on this cable down here. And because it's not attached to anything, it makes it really easy. This spring is actually broken, but it shouldn't matter. So that just goes on there and hooks on, just like that. It's held in place by that metal piece right there. Go ahead and pull this out so it keeps it locked in there. You see how it's attached now. So the next thing you want to do is take one of your rear shoe, and unfortunately this doesn't have a bigger and a smaller one. It's just got a top and a bottom. So I don't know if they changed the design of them or what, but I'm going to put the high side on the back. And you can put grease on these little areas right here if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well, just a very little bit, just to help it slide easily. I don't know how to describe what that smells like, but it's not a very good smell. So this little tab, or this little peg right here, it goes through this hole right here in the top, and it's held on by this little horseshoe clip. Usually the new kits come with like a C-clip as well, but let me get a pair of needle nose real quick. It's quite on the, there it goes. Just squeeze it together so it holds it, so it maintains or retains that. So now you see how this goes together. This can go up here and slide onto that little lever right there, and it loops around to on top of that thing right there. So that's how it's held in place. Now, to actually hold it in place, we need to add the little spring that goes here. And because this also has the adjustment lever that goes on it, it uses this little one with the sleeve on it. And it goes down through your adjustment lever, like that, and then through this hole right here. And with that there, you can install your first spring, which okay, so there you go. So let's click in, and I just knocked the pin out of the wheel cylinder. Okay, so that goes like that. All right, so now that side's held into place. So once you get that spring on there, it holds the whole assembly in line. And you see how this lever works. I'll show you. So unfortunately my camera shut off, so I missed a lot of that, so I'll have to redo it on the other side for you. But as you can see, the way it works is this one bar right here, it attaches to the lever, then this spring attaches to the shoe, and that spring attaches to that lever, then this spring over here attaches the other shoe, and then up here to this pin. The bar I had in backwards, so the hooked end goes towards the front and away from the parking brake lever. Then we got the spring down here. It holds the bottom together, and your adjuster screw. This lever, as you hit the brakes, it does that. And adjusts the lever out. So that's all there is to it. I just want to show you real quick how these springs go on with the tool I use. So I already got this side on over here, and so you just gotta figure out which way this goes. It goes like that, in that hole right there. So you lock it in there. And then you take your tool here, got this little spring attachment tool thingy. Make sure everything's lined up the way it's supposed to be, and I hope I didn't just knock you guys off the stand, and that's all there is to it. Boom. So, probably squeeze that around a little bit. Just to lock her in. So doing this lower spring is a little bit more of a pain in the butt. So basically want to lock it into one side, like so. And then we just stretch it all the way over there. Because you gotta hold both shoes in place in order to get it over there. And I'm putting it on backwards. Use a screwdriver to leverage it over there. I don't know what's going on with my phone, but it shut off again. But anyways, got that spring on. So you saw we used the tool to get this one on. It's the same thing with this spring over here. Just pop it onto that lever right there and good to go. So now the shoes are fully assembled and ready to go for the drums. But gotta wait because, like I said, these axle tubes have a little bit of wear to them, and I want to get a speed sleeve for them, but they're like 40 bucks a piece, and I need 2 of them. And I've kind of been overspending this month, so especially since I have to re-buy ball joints every freaking week because the wrong ones come. Man, they don't specify sizes that way. And now I'm just rambling, so. Anyways, got both sides fully assembled now. So next thing we'll be doing is making brake lines. All right, now we got the brake shoes on and all the brake hardware on. It's time to make some brake lines. And we need to make one that goes from here all the way over and up and over to there. And there's gonna be a T over there and another one that goes from the wheel over there and under and up and through there. So shouldn't be too bad. This is going to be using 1/4-inch line. So I bought a roll of 25 feet and I got a bunch of different size tube nuts too. So the ones we're going to be using are these ones right here. They're 1/4-inch tube with 7/16 24 thread. You're going to need at least 4 of these. And this is the T I was telling you about. This is kind of an oddball thing. So the brake line that goes in, see, I actually need a new one of these because if I can show you down inside here. See how the that piece right there, the little cone, is kind of crushed. I don't know if that's going to seal or not with the new hose I ordered, so I might have to find one of these as well. But it's an oddball one. It's got 7/16 24 on the coming out, and that's a 7/16 20 going in. So that might be a little hard to find. These are the ones we're going to be using. Just screw into this and to the wheel cylinders. I bought a bunch of little kits, spent like 60 bucks to get all these variety of sizes. It even has like 3/16 with a 9/16 or 5/8 thread. So a lot of times you need those for going into master cylinders. But just wanted to show you that real quick, but this is what we're gonna be needing to do the lines. Also have my little bender I got from Harbor Freight a long time ago. This thing works really good for small tubing. This goes from 1/8 inch all the way up to 1/4 inch. And I think I use it mostly for the 3/16, which is the middle one. But this will be the first time, maybe the first time I've used it for 1/4 inch. But either way, let's go ahead and check this out and see what we need. We're gonna do the short side first. And basically just get a measurement from the wheel cylinder right here, down and over to right here to this mounting point where the hose comes from here down to here. So I'm just gonna go over, I'm just gonna go over to the middle and we'll cut a piece about that big. That way we have room to cut it off. And I can flare my own lines, that's why I'm doing it this way. So it looks like about 22 inches, should do probably way more than I need. So let's just go, yeah, I'm going to go with 22 inches. So the way I've found it works really good for straightening out this line, just stick it on the ground, get out of the way here, and just roll it out. Like so, and it'll get you pretty straight. You know, I just got to get a measurement. We said 22 inches, so go ahead and mark about 22 inches. And that's where we'll cut it. I just gotta get my cutter. Get away from that. Oh, you're such a pain in the butt. All right, so we go ahead and cut this to 22 inches. And we can start forming it once we get a tube nut on it. I got my flaring tool out, ready to go too. It's taking way longer than it should. There it goes, jeez. Let me grab my other cutter. One of the things I like to do after I cut a line take a chamfering tool and just kind of clean up the cut. That way it's nice and clean for when I do the flare on it. Okay, so to do the flare, I got my little flaring tool here. My little flaring, So my Master Cool kit. And I love this thing. So I need 1/4 inch. So grab the 1/4 inch die for a double flare. Put the line in there and you just kind of line it up at the end of the thing. The new ones have a stop right here for you to line it up with. There's a bunch of different style of these flaring tools. I have the manual one too. You can buy from Harbor Freight for like 30 bucks. This kit's probably well over 300 now. You just tighten that down and we're good to go on that. You grab your 1/4 inch die for your first flare. And you just screw it in until it touches. And you just pump her up until she stops. And if you look real close, down inside there, you can see where it's the first one. Now we gotta do the cone. And that's what that little thing's for. That's your 45-degree angle to make your double flare. And then pump it up until it stops. Now you have a perfect flare to do your brake. Oh man, if I put the nut on. Yeah, always make sure you have the nut on there before you do your flare. But because of it's a straight line right now, so until you curve it or bend it, I ain't too worried about it. Now we gotta go over and figure out what shape we need to make it fit. So it's coming out right here. So we're gonna have to come bend down, go across. So I'm gonna put a little angle on it. My tubing bender. We're almost 90, but not quite. So that'll bring us down to the tube. Okay, so from there I want to bend it up and go basically around these U-bolts. So I need to make an angle right there, so I'm going to mark it so I know where to bend it. The way I always try to do these is I like to keep them behind the diff, so when you're driving forward, stuff don't kick up and hit it. So try to go as close to the middle of the diff as possible, or the axle tube as possible. So make my mark where it needs to be bent, and also the direction it needs to be bent. Test fit that again. All right, so look where that turned out. So I'm just gonna bend it by hand to go around the U-bolt. That should get us into the ballpark of where our T is gonna be. Go ahead and tighten this down a little bit so it's held in place. I'm not using a tube wrench right now, but I will, a tube nut wrench, but this is a 7/16 nut. So I'm just tightening it down a little bit. I'm not torquing it down or anything yet. So just to hold it in place basically, so I can get my length. I'll bring it over so you can see what I'm talking about. Now you can see how I brought it out and went around the U-bolts here and across the axle to line up right there. So the T basically is going to be like in that area there. So I'm going to take my measurement there to flare this end of it, and then I'll mark that and take this off, flare that end, put a nut on first, and flare this end, and we'll be done with this end. All right, so as you can see, we got the one line done now. See how it's centered up perfectly with the T. So now the hose is going to go from this point here down to there and attach that, and now we just got to make the other side here to go up and over. See there's actually a place to run it through right here, and another place over there to run it through. So we're routing that one to keep it in line, and then attach it over here with this one. All right, so there you have it. Finished brake lines for the rear brakes. All the way over the wheel cylinders and into the junction. I just put the original hose in there. I tell you what, there is no way that these brakes were working prior to me getting this thing, or anytime shortly there before, because that line right there is completely sealed up. This side was completely adjusted out, so to where, I don't know if you saw my short, but the original drums were a 1/4 inch bigger than what they're supposed to be. So they were a 1/4 inch too wide, or the diameter is a 1/4 of an inch too big. It's crazy. So this should definitely stop a lot better now, since everything's going to be clear and everything's going to be adjusted properly, and not the original 50-year-old drums. So the next time we're going to make for this is going to go from that point right there and all the way forward. Then it has to go across and up to the junction block, or the proportioning valve, you know, on the firewall over here. So that'll be a little while before I get to that, because I want to do one piece. Because the original one, the reason why I'm replacing it, because it had a fitting union right around in that area. You don't put pressure fittings, compression fittings on brake lines. You use a coupler if you have to extend it like that. But yeah, that's the next part. Going to be doing the length of the truck, and I don't think there's going to be enough left over on this. I might have to get another roll, but that ain't a big deal. You can get it from O'Reilly's. You can get 25-foot rolls of it, from 3/16, 1/4 inch, 5/16, and 3/8. I think you can probably get 1/2 inch too. 25-foot rolls of it. Pretty cheap, you know, for the most part. So we're at as far as the brakes go in the back. Gotta wait for that hose to get here so I can figure out the routing for that, and at least get a length done up to about here. And then I'll just leave it long to be able to make it work for the brake stuff. I can't think right now, but for the proportioning valve. You know what I'm talking about? Well, I am happy to report that the ball joints, the most recent set of ball joints I ordered, are the right ones. So we can get these installed on here, get the suspension back together, get the springs on there, and also the new brake hose came in too. So I'm just going to attach that. It's just sitting in there. Because I think I need to replace that T down there too, because the one not chamfer, but the cone that the hose actually screws into is damaged. But that's going to be fun trying to find, because the inlet is 7/16 20 and the outlets are 7/16 24. So find that combination, I don't know. I've been looking, so far I haven't found it. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet, but got the hose, and we got the correct ball joints now, so we can get this back together, at least on the springs and the spindle back on. And I still got to decide what I'm doing for brakes, but we can get the front end together at least. All right, so we're going to get these ball joints installed now that we have the right ones after the third try. One thing I'm finding out about this truck is, like, the parts are weird, trying to find the right ones. So these are pretty simple. We have a dust boot that goes on the back side of it. Let me show your nuts off of there. This just goes down through, and then your boot. And you bolt that all together. The provided bolts. I'm gonna bag you in here, but I haven't opened yet. And your Zerk fitting and your cotter pins in here too. The bolt, lock washer, and a nut need to go on. And don't forget your boot. The worst time keeping the stupid freaking boot on there. Where'd it go? Well, the problem is these gloves don't necessarily give me the dexterity I need to put some of this stuff on. All right, so we got one on there, and now we'll be back when they're all put on. The upper ball joints are now installed. None of that's tightened down yet, because obviously we haven't got the springs in there because they're sitting over here on the bench. But those are going to go in tomorrow. I'm done for today because I've been welding most of the day and fabricating and making pieces that need a replace but can't buy. So that's what I did. I made a part. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to getting the full front suspension on. Got the brakes done back there. Still got to do seal for the hub, and I want to do a speedy sleeve back there, so we still wait on that. But we should be able to get this together tomorrow, but that's tomorrow. So we will see you in the morning. All right, with the ball joints in, next thing we gotta do is get the spring in, that thing right there. And I just spent most of the day trying to figure out a way of getting that one in. So I'm gonna give you the highlights when I install this one of what I did, because it was a technique I had to come up with, because when there's no weight on your vehicle like this, getting heavy duty springs like that up in there and into the perches is a pain in the butt. So I'll show you what I did to make it happen. But like I said, it's a pain in the butt. And I had to buy a different spring compressor and modify it to make it work. And yeah, it's quite the adventure. So, that's what we're gonna do right now. Get this other spring on here. One of the things I always try to do is, you see on the ball joint how the cotter pin hole is facing directly out. Well, with that in place up here, it gets blocked by the spindle. So what I always like to try to do, if I can, is I spin that around. If it's able to be spun, just use a pick or something. Spin that around so it faces front to back. That way you can get a cotter pin in there and get it out without any problems. And I haven't checked the bottom one. I think it might be already lined up good enough. But I always try to get the ball joint cotter pin hole lined up so it's facing, front to back rather than side to side. So I just want to give you that little pointer too. Try to get it to face the right direction. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, and it may seem counterproductive, is we're going to remove the A-arm control, the A-arm, lower A-arm control layer. We are going to remove the lower control arm mounting points from the K member right here. So the reason being, so when the spring is mounted in its position on the lower control arm, it doesn't allow it to be able to tilt up into it. So you can't swing it up in. So that's to be brought up straight through, which is why you got to remove the mounts in the back. So that's why we're going to take those off now. I like to put the nuts right here on the frame, that way it's easy to find. Let them fall back in. There's those nuts, the nut from the sway bar. I wonder where they went. And so now that's loose. The next step is going to be to actually put the spring into here, into the lower control arm, to the lower A arm, so we can get it lined up in the position where it needs to be. And what I did to modify the spring compressor is the bottom of this has a hook on it. Let me get it for you. So this spring compressor comes with this hook, and it goes on this end of it. And it allows you to take this up through and compress a spring like that. However, this square piece down here doesn't fit through that hole. So, and it's not quite big enough to be able to make the spread across it. So what I did, plus to make it easier to crank it up on there, is I made a plate. Sorry about that again. So I made a plate that goes over the hole down inside the A-arm, and that way, and put a nut. This is a 5/8 fine thread bolt, and the nuts from the old my old U-bolts for the rear of this are 5/8 fine thread. So I happen to have a stash of these nuts, and I'm using that to compress it now. So I'll show you that right now. Bear with me because it might fall out and make some noise and all that good stuff. So this has a step in it right here, and there is a pocket right down in here where that goes. That's where you got to line it up at. You feel it stop right there. Once you get it in there, you just spin it up to start tightening it. It'll start to see. Make sure the spring is in its perch down there, right there. Just spin it around until it tightens. Now I can tighten it down, and it'll compress that spring enough to be able to get it up into position. So I'm going to do that right now. It takes a while, so I'm not going to film that for you. So this here is part of the fun. This is a 2-jack operation, and I'm just one person. So gotta get one on the very end out here. Now that there, to get the spring lined up with this perch up inside. And that's kind of the hard part. So I gotta jack up the back here, trip over my shoelace. Ouch. Watch your hands anytime you're doing stuff like this, because it's very easy to get caught up. Put a little bit more in the back. We get just dropped into a spot. Just make sure. All right, so it's around the mount on the top. So it's a good start. And also, I tighten down all the ball joints and everything to be sure that those don't move when I'm trying to adjust this all. So now that that's in there, we can start cranking down on our spring compressor. As we do that, we're going to be using the jacks to jack up the A-arm so it doesn't fall out of there. So I'm going to start cranking up the spring compressor, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to be moving the jacks up as we go. And just like that, we got a full front suspension. All you have to do is a sway bar. You put that on any time. It's around here someplace. But yeah, that's not a fun task when there's no weight on the front end, I tell you what. It's definitely a struggle. But when you get the will to do it, you can make it get done. You can make it get done. You can get it done, yeah. But anyways, I think that's it for the day. Do the sway bar real quick tomorrow, and that should do it. Kind of forgot to mention, one of the things that took a long time was an alignment pin. There's a hole on the shaft right here, and then a pin right there. And those got to line up, and they just weren't going in. I didn't have it out far enough to align. So that spring's in there, man. It puts a lot of tension on all these parts. So one thing's for sure, though, steering's gonna be nice and tight. Yep, it is the next day after getting those springs installed, and the front suspension pretty much finished and buttoned up. So now we got to, what we gotta do? Oh yeah, sway bar. So that shouldn't take much. It's only 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts to hold it on. So let's go ahead and get that thing in there. Should probably also clean up from the mess yesterday too. After I got that spring in there, I was just done for the night. So, and I'm a little bit sick today. I woke up with a sore throat. But it's better now, but still not quite right. But yeah, let's get this sway bar on. All right, so let's get this sway bar put up in here. Shouldn't be too hard, except for I don't have the hardware for those somewhere. Let me get those. Got it. The bolt aren't gonna be long enough. Let's see if this longer ones. These are too long, but get us started, because what the problem is the rubber needs to be crushed down a little bit. Almost everything on this truck has been kind of a challenge. Just trying to find stuff that fits and get stuff back on. It would be a lot easier with the weight of the truck, the full weight of the truck being here, but since we're kind of doing a little mini restoration on it, kind of hard to have everything on at once. Yeah, the bad cam kind of threw a wrench into my plans, just getting it running and driving it, but we've all been there, we know what that's like, so. We'll put these end links on. Of course, everything's got to be nice and tight, no weight on it. And these bolts are definitely gonna be too short. So I got some more. Four. I'm glad when I went and got bolts, I just bought a variety of different sizes. Otherwise, we might be in trouble today. Still might be, because a lot of pressure on that thing. It needs to go that way a little bit. And they're too tight now. Oh, yeah. Maybe there was a reason why I didn't really want to tighten them up yet, but couldn't quite figure out what that reason was. I don't know about this. Still have no weight on the suspension, so the truck. So I doubt lifting this up and it'll be good. Nope, doesn't compress the spring at all. But I know what we can do, I think. If we let it loosen out a little bit more. Use the frame mounts as much as possible. Maybe we've got to tilt down a little bit more. That might help. There you go. Alright, we got those all started now, so now we can tighten them down. A lot of times you want to, for suspension and sway bars, you usually want it on the ground, but there's nothing adjustable on it, so you should just tighten it down good. And there you have it. So now that they're in there, I think they're actually bottoming out on the shank, so like they are a little bit too long. So now that they're in there, I can put shorter ones in there because it's pulled up in there where it's supposed to be now. But we'll worry about that later. For now, it's good. To do it for that. So the front suspension is all back together now. All except for the shocks, which we still got to order. Rear brakes are pretty much done. Still got to order speedy sleeves so we can seal this up because I'm pretty sure that's where it's leaking from and causing me the drums to get all, or the shoes to get all soaked. I still need to check the rear end. I haven't opened it up yet, but I will eventually. Gotta see if I can find that T or see if that was repairable or not. And other than that, so yeah, we got a lot done this week. So brakes, rear brakes, and front suspensions all done for the most part. All the major stuff. So that's gonna do it. We're gonna finish up this episode of GMC Sunday, and as you can see, we got full suspension going now. And she can be a roller pretty soon. So I've still haven't decided what I'm gonna do with brakes for the front. I might end up just going with drums again because it's the cheapest option. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like down there, leave me a comment, let me know what I can do, better. And subscribe while you're at it, turn on those notifications because this is a weekly thing. Next week video is gonna be finish up the floor pans and rocker panels on at least the driver's side of the GMC. So a lot of extra fabrication and whatnot that I had to do to make that. Make sure you tune in and turn those notifications on. And I appreciate you all being here, especially till the end. So until next time, I will see y'all later.